Money is a constant topic of discussion among millennials. Financial pressures are mounting and we're left wondering how we'll pay off the student debt, afford our first home mortgage, and save for retirement. With the wide variety of sources on the internet, it is challenging to know what advice is worth listening to. But when it comes to money issues, there are some universal truths that apply as we move through various stages of our lives. Here are a few common money truths that every college student and millennial must understand to ensure that they are on the right path for success. The earlier you start saving and investing your money, the more money you will have in the future and be ahead in your retirement plans thanks to the power of compounding interest. In very simple terms, compounding interest is the idea that interest earned on an investment can then be reinvested to generate even more money for you. In my opinion, this interest on interest mechanism is one of the most important concepts in personal finance. Let's say I invested $1,000 at the beginning of 2022 into a stock that gives 10% interest on that investment annually. At the end of 2022, I will have $1,000, which is what I started with, plus $100, which is the interest I earned that year, and this is calculated by just multiplying your initial investment with the interest rate. This $100 is more than I started with without doing anything else. So in 2023, I actually started with $1,100 this time as my initial investment. Let's say I keep this in the same stock that gives me 10% interest annually. Now, by the end of 2023, I will still have my initial investment of $1,100 plus $110 from the interest earned. This is a total of $1,210. Now let's extrapolate and see what we will have in 30 years. This chart is showing you what you will get every year for the next 30 years if you were to invest $1,000 in year 0. After 30 years, you will have 17.5K. This is what people call passive income because you literally did nothing more than just putting some money into an interest earning vehicle and let that money work for you. To really use and see the power of compounding interest, it is best to contribute as much money as you can every single month. Now let's extend our example by adding $100 a month into our investment. By the end of our 30th year, we will have $215K with a total contribution from our side of $37K over 30 years. I don't know about you, but that's a good amount of money. Now imagine if our parents did this for us when we were first born. By the time we hit 30, we'll have more than $200K in savings without us doing anything. This is why it is important to start investing as early as possible and as much as possible to let that money compound for as long as you can. The second most important truth about money is that you don't have to be rich in order to save and invest money. In my case, I learned a bit about investing at age 19 when I came to the US for college, and I started putting as much of my savings as possible into the stock market. After graduating from college, I already had about $15,000 in my name without ever holding a full-time job. Now, how did I do it? During the school year, I sometimes worked as a research assistant for a professor or a phone-a-tone caller, bothering alumni and parents on behalf of the school to raise funds. I was getting about $9 per hour and worked less than 10 hours a week. I also got an internship over the summer where I got paid about $10 to $15 per hour for a 40-hour work week. When you're that young, you literally have nothing to lose. You probably don't have a mortgage, a car payment, or a baby to take care of, so you have a lot more flexibility when it comes to money. Fortunately for me, I came to the US to pursue an undergraduate degree with a full ride scholarship that paid for everything. And I grew up with parents who nagged about how unhealthy it is to eat out and how we should never spend money on unnecessary things. So unconsciously, I ended up pretty frugal. It also helped that I was hyper-focused on my studies and almost never had time to socialize with friends outside of campus. The third true is that building healthy money habits will help you for the rest of your life. One of the keys to a successful and satisfying life is developing healthy money habits. To start, you should have a clear understanding of your finances. This includes knowing what you spend on every single month. You should also be aware of your financial goals and be able to prioritize them so that you can save more money each year. A good habit to develop early on is to live on a lower income by limiting your spending. Avoid paying for things you don't need or don't use. During my sophomore year of college, I bought a used car for approximately $6,000. It was a 2012 Hyundai Accent that was less than 2 years old. I drove this car for about 8 years without any major issue, and I drove it all over the eastern part of the US, from Indiana to Florida to Boston. I finally got rid of it this year since we mostly work remotely from home, and now we share another 8 years old car between me and my husband to reduce maintenance and car insurance costs. Now, as your income grows over time, you might experience something called the lifestyle creep, which describe the tendency to spend more money as your income increases. I keep seeing my friends buying more and more expensive cars since their incomes have increased significantly from the time we graduated from college. I've also found myself going online and start customizing cars that I am interested in, but I've never come close to actually pulling the trigger. I keep thinking about the pros and cons of buying something so expensive and ultimately realize that there is no current need for another car. So I would rather use the money and max out all of my retirement account for the year, save for an investment property, or just put it in the stock market in my individual brokerage account. The fourth and last truth I am sharing in this video is that living below your means does not mean you have to be cheap. There are a lot of myths about what people think it means to live below your means. Living below your means is about living within your budget and prioritizing spending money in areas that matter most to you without getting into excessive debt that reduces your quality of life in the long run. For me, being cheap and frugal are two different things. Cheap means to always get the lowest price no matter what. However, there are certain situations where being cheap is not ideal and won't save you that much money. For example, I frequent an outdoor market where they sometimes sell avocados for 50 cents each. After I bring them back home and open them, I realize that they are pretty moldy and I wouldn't want to risk my health for saving $1. I noticed that I can get fresh avocado at Trader Joe for about $1 more than the outdoor market, so honestly saving that $1 is just not worth it. I've done quite a lot of mistakes by being cheap before. I'm still learning how to prioritize and set limits for myself as well. If you got something out of this video, give this a thumbs up. If you have any question, feel free to leave it in the comment down below and then I will answer them. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. I post a video every week about my experience in academia, my tech career, and I also talk about personal finance as well. Don't forget to check out my other videos, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.